Hello and welcome back to the Gorilla Biker, and today what we're going to be doing is talking about a multi-day saga with this bike. Basically, if you watched the last video, one of the things I was talking about was the fuel pump and hoping that it was fixed and stuff, and it wasn't. So in this video we're going to take apart the whole fuel pump assembly because people also expressed an interest in that. Luckily enough I had to do it again anyway, so we'll be taking that apart. You'll get to see that. And also I'll talk through bypassing the fuel filter. I don't show doing that in full because I actually had to do it on a track day because the original fix didn't work. But basically you'll get to see all of the options, what you can do with these things in one video. And the only recommendation I'll give up front, and you'll see that this as it develops through the video, but the only thing I'd give up front is if your fuel tank was ever as bad as mine was and it was quite rusty when I got it, I would just bypass it. It's cheaper, easier, and had great results. So yeah, anyway, to the rest of the video. Okay, so first and foremost, to remove the tank, you're going to remove the two Allens from here, which are 5s, I think, from memory. 5s or 4s, not sure. And then a bolt, which basically locks in the rear plate here, which you'll see in a second. Now that's a 10mm long bolt. When you're taking that out, you want to be careful because there is a sleeve in here. Also, what we're going to want to disconnect is this little white guy here. Alright, there's going to be 2 vent lines over here that you want to pull off. And then the actual fuel connection itself, which I'm going to try to prop this up so I can show you. Okay, so vent here, white connector here, which is your fuel pump connector. And then this quick release clamp here, which is a pinch, and then you pull off this piece here, and that's your actual fuel line connection. And then the tank comes off and we can take out our actual fuel pump assembly, which I'll show you once we get the tank off. Okay, so once you have the tank off and you want as little fuel to be in here as possible, you lift these tabs and this will let you lift off this, which I might have to do off camera. Let's see. And then we're going to remove these 5 Allen bolts, which are 5mm. As you can see, I have a box here ready to just kind of start putting all the smaller things into, because there's lots of little bits and pieces we're going to be removing once we get this tank actually off. So you do want something to kind of place everything into. So once you have all the Allens out, you're going to take out your fuel pump, which is going to leak a certain amount of fuel. There's no avoiding that. Very hard to do one hand. And that's why I had this ready to kind of drop that into. After that, as you can see, I have pretty much all the fuel out. You're just going to move the tank out of the way. You don't need this anymore for now. Okay, so once you get to here, you're going to need a proper screwdriver. I think it's a number 1 that actually works on these, and also a 7mm spanner for these 2 nuts here. So what you're going to want to do first is take out these 2 screws, and then obviously these 2 bolts. So what I'm trying to do is this is basically how you do the full rebuild as well, but I just want this piece off. So what you're looking at here, this is your fuel pressure regulator, this is your fuel pump itself, this is your, like, I can't remember the correct term for it, but it's basically what tells you if you've high or low fuel, this guy here. And essentially, we're only looking to separate off the major components. If you were doing a rebuild, you'll see in a second, there's a little screen that sits down in here. You'd be removing that, and you'd also be changing out this fuel pump and also this fuel pressure regulator here. I think all these are good. I think they're savable. We're just looking to get off this plastic piece here. What this is there's a high pressure fuel filter here, and then this is like a fuel plenum kind of jobby. That holds like a reservoir. So it's basically a surge tank in here. So worst case scenario will be bypassing that high pressure fuel filter if we can't clean it, but we're going to try clean it first. So to the disassembly. When you're disassembling this as well, these wires, you also kind of want to put a finger against them just to make sure they stay in place and you don't twist them up too much. Again, with these guys here, there's a screw, and then there's actually this clip here. Well, it's a slide-on kind of screw thing, and you want to just kind of preserve all that, which is why I have everything in a tub, just so I don't lose anything. I've learned to do this the hard way. Once you get to there, you can just slide this whole piece out. So it just slides into this piece here. And then with this guy, this is the fuel pressure regulator. You can just lift the clip on one side and it'll unhook. And then you can actually pop out the fuel pressure regulator. Now we should be able to separate this whole thing here. So there's a grommet on this piece right here into that we're gonna have to kind of push past. We'll just work it back and forth and you'll get it. There you go. So that's obviously nice and clean in there, which it should be. When I first disassembled this, this was full of gunk from when there was rust in this tank. Again, this is your strainer here at the bottom, which you theoretically would be replacing. We don't need to remove this time. Do we? Technically we do, because it's all one piece. So you remove white clip, pop that off, rubber kind of retainer guy comes off, and then this pulls right off. After that you can pull your fuel pump out, and now we're ready to basically try clean this piece. It's actually pretty quick and easy to get in this far, to be honest. And you can already see like the color coming out, that there's still rust and whatnot in this assembly, which obviously is not good. And that's what we'll be trying to clean out. So this is all the parts. What I'm going to do is put this into the ultrasonic tank, give this a clean up, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to back flush this. And when you back flush, you want to flush through this hole here, the lower hole, just so you can see exactly where, because that's where the fuel generally comes out. So pump picks it up, puts it in through here. Fuel pressure regulator obviously is assigning that. Fills your little mini surge tank. That's pulled through the fuel filter, which is here, out through this hole. If you want to bypass it, basically all we're going to do is drill, like at an angle from here into this chamber here, and we bypass this filter. Now if you do that, you do have to add an external filter. One that I found online that a lot of people recommend is the Mahle KL145, because it's nice and small. If I need to do that, I will, and I'll show you anyway where I would put it later. We might have to do it anyway, but if not, I'll still show you where I would put it. Okay, so after actually I think about 5 liters of fuel used to backflush this, and again you want to backflush through this hole at pressure, finally running clear. Beforehand it was like this, if not worse. There's like a brown slurry coming out of it. I'm relatively confident now it'll be fine. Now if you wanted to drill this, basically you would get a drill bit, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but there's a hole. Yeah, there you go. Right there is a hole, and you want to drill at an angle to go from here down into here. Alright? And by doing that, if you look up the diagram of this, basically the cartridge filter is here, and this pulls through that filter down to come out through that triangular hole. So if you want to drill it, that's how you do it. You kind of want to go at an angle here into this chamber. Now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. However, I am going to bring this to the track just in case I need to delete it and my drill and drill bit, because I can whip this out quickly, get it drilled, and get back on the track if it starts to block up. So now I'm going to reassemble. Reassembly is just the opposite of us taking it apart. So because I'm a genius, I forgot to turn my microphone back on when I was doing the reassembly process. But basically, what you'll see me doing is just putting the rubber bush seal back onto the top of the fuel pump, giving everything a wipe off. That rubber seal that sits on that top connection of the fuel pump also has a plastic spacer underneath it. Make sure you have both of them back in there. Really, really important. Then you just slide it back in and push until you see it all the way up to the plastic spacer. The spacer sets the distance, which is why it's important. Then you just route the cables back like they were before, and you're going to grab your fuel pressure regulator, and put that back in as well, which is usually just a tight push. Now I had actually pre-greased all these, which I didn't show you. What I always do is use like the barest minimum of red rubber grease when I'm putting these back in, just to make them seat a little bit better. I probably could have used more in this situation, but what you don't want to do is tear these seals, O-rings or whatever else, because you know you don't have spares. So you know you want to just grease them up a little bit. Then you want to put back on your plastic holder, which basically hooks on 2 clips around and then pushes back onto the main clamp. Then your fuel level sensor, just hook that back in, fold it down, and again just kind of route the cable to where it was before. Once that's done, you want to grab your fuel strainer. I did give that a good clean off. Strainer pops back on. After that, you're going to follow it up with that black rubber seal. Again, that's just kind of sits on between the plastic, hard plastic strainer, and also then the hard plastic strainer clamp holder, this guy here. Just white piece of hard plastic that locks everything in place. Once that's on, you're actually pretty much done. What you're going to want to do is basically slide the whole assembly back into the I don't know what you'd call this, to be honest, fuel pump holder. We'll call it a fuel pump holder, but this is what seals onto the bottom of the tank as well, so it is quite important. You push that into place. Again, grease up that O-ring for the fuel outlet, so where the fuel outlet hooks kind of connects onto the whole fuel pump assembly. You just want to grease that up. Then you want to put back in your 2 screw holders, I suppose. They just slide back over those 2 posts, and then you bolt through them. One bolt is through, so the one that I'm doing right there now, one bolt goes through the fuel level sensor cable, which is also like a ground, and then when I get to the other one, you're going to screw through one of your fuel pump connections into that post, and again that's to down to basically a ground. That's this one here. You just want to literally put the slide on clamp in place that you're screwing into, then the connector, and then the screw. And then I just double check them all for tightness. Once that's done, you want to put back in place your 7mm bolts. You have like a locking washer, which is like a toothed washer that goes underneath. Then your actual wire connector. Then a lock washer, which is like a washer with a cut in it, and it acts like a spring. You compress it and it locks everything in place. And then your 7mm nut. So I'm gonna skip ahead here because tightening those on takes a while. But again, just kind of make sure you try hold your wires in place while you tighten that 7mm nut, because they are prone to move and you want to be really careful with them. They're a thin gauge wire, and you don't want to damage them. Next up, we're just putting the fuel pump assembly back into the tank. You want to orientate this, as you'll see when I get my arm out of the way, you want to orientate this so the fuel outlet is towards the left hand side of the tank as it would sit on the bike. Then you're just going to reuse these Allen bolts. The one thing you want to make sure is if you don't over tighten any of these. So I'm barely putting these in hand tight, and then what you're going to want to do is crisscross pattern everything. There is a torque spec for this. I don't have it. If you want it, look it up. I'm sure you can get the service manual, etc. What I do is I just put them all in very loosely, just to kind of seat everything, and then in a star pattern, I tighten them up really slowly. So I don't just do them like, I don't tighten one side and then go to the other. I tighten them up really slowly, because what you want to do is you want to seat that really evenly onto the O-ring seal. And the O-ring seal I also did grease up just a little bit with red rubber grease. And I've had this in and out since I got the bike, probably 6 or 7, maybe even 8 times at this point. And nothing leaks, so that's why I do that way. So literally pinch them all up in a star pattern, and then I'll go back and tighten them all up fully. So just be careful here. This is somewhere you could mess up really badly and cause yourself a massive headache. So take your time, don't overdo anything, and you'll be fine. Then finally, just make sure you put back on this heat shield. You just literally make sure that those two kind of fold down clamps go through it, which always takes me way longer than it should. Route through your cable, make sure you clear your fuel outlet port, and then seat it all down, fold down the clamps, and you're done. Congratulations. So ignore everything I said about trying to rescue that internal filter, and I'll explain why really. During the track day, I got one session out of the back-flushed internal filter, and then I had to perform. That was a given. For some reason, Toaster uses a given as her, her text alert, and that's what it was. But anyway, so we got one session out of the back-flushed filter, and then I had to go to this, and I'll talk you through what I did real quick, just so you can do this. So all you really need is high pressure fuel hose clamps. I bought this suitable for up to 300 psi. Focus. Up to 300 psi, 5/16 Evil Energy fuel hose. I bought that on Amazon actually, and it was a great purchase. These are you can buy these are 5/16 quick connects. You don't need those, and I'll explain why in a second. And that's because the original fuel hose is this guy, and what I did is I actually just made a little cut up the top end. You can see it there. It's actually hard to see it because it's quite, there you go. And I took out the original pieces, and then what I did was, which is going to be hard to see, but you can see it here, because they're 90-degree ones, so I then just pushed the 90-degree in, clamped it, down to my new Mahle KL145, clamped that there, and then the other 90 degrees in there, and again, just clamped. So, like I said, drilling the hole is really easy. You just got to make sure the angle's right. Didn't record it because I was trying to miss as little track time as possible, but this works so much better. I had such a great time, beat my best time ever. All that's coming in future videos, but yeah, this setup with literally 90-degree into the fuel hose, clamp, the Mahle fuel filter, clamp, fuel hose into the 90-degree with a clamp. Super easy once you drill that out. All I would say is before you hook this up to the fuel filter, just hang this hose off the side into a bucket or something and cycle your priming a few times to flush out any bits left over from drilling out the fuel filter. But it is genuinely that easy. I don't know why I put on my Climb Air vest. It's a different day. I just wanted to put it on because I saw it there. Sometimes I'm weird. Sometimes my brain does things that it wants to do. But yeah, that's all you need. Literally, you can reuse the 90 degrees from this, and I mean, you should change your fuel hose every now and again anyway, so I'm not upset about cutting that up. Your fuel hose clampy jamps and extra fuel hose plus the fuel filter. The nice thing about that fuel filter as well is I can just keep one on hand and I can change that in like 2 minutes rather than have to take the whole fuel pump assembly out of the tank. So going forward, I think it is a better option. Anyway, would I use this on the road? Absolutely. I would have no issue with this. It's a much cheaper solution. Like the fuel filter cost $18. The fuel hose cost about the same, I think. And it was like, I have a lot of it left. And the clamps cost, I don't know, $6 or $7. So it's a really cheap. And then you just need a 3/6. American numbers are weird for drill bits, but it was like a 3/16 drill bit or something like that. And I drilled that hole where I pointed out earlier in the video. But yeah, just as a side note, if your tank was as dirty as mine and your fuel filter was as clogged as mine, I wouldn't even bother trying to save it. But you know how to disassemble everything now. You know how to put it back together. And this is the result if you don't want to try to. I wouldn't bother. Honestly, I wouldn't bother. If it's that bad, just do this. It's way better and it's serviceable. So yeah, back to the rest of the video. Might have cut myself off there, but yeah, that's it. I think it's the KL145. We'll just double check. Yeah, KL145, and again, you can buy that on Amazon. Only other changes we made to the bike is I did throw on these easy grips during the track day, and they did help a lot. So yeah, that's it. I won't cut myself off this time, but yeah, highly recommend this change. Worked really good. But that is that. A pain that I kind of had to do this a few times. My fault. I didn't figure out exactly what it was first time. But at least now you've seen, because people messaged me after the last video like, hey, I would have liked to see, you know, the actual ins and outs of it. So now you've seen how to tear it out of there, tear it apart, kind of put it back together. It's the same, just the reverse of tearing it apart. And also how you would theoretically fit a bypass. Literally drill that hole and put on an external filter. I know someone's going to ask the question, could you not put on the external filter? Technically, yes. Would I recommend it? No. Because you're going to be unlucky, get a little bit of rust that's left over in the tank. Like, this tank was nasty when I first cleaned it up. Now it's a lot better, but that's not to say that, you know, the same thing couldn't happen again. A little bit of rust got up in there and, you know, would bypass everything and just mess up my day. So, yeah, hopefully that is the end of the low power, low fuel SV saga. Hopefully that's it. Time will tell. And I'll keep you updated. Bye.
Outro crew. I kind of almost forgot to do an outro crew question again, and I already did that, so I thought people might be upset. But yeah, let me know what you think of the whole situation. I think it's pretty easy to do. This accounts for lots of different Suzukis. Have you ever had this type of issue? Very interested to know. And also, I think I owe the SV650 an apology. This poor bike has been doing its best for me for 3 track days with like probably 50% fuel flow, and it wasn't even that bad. But I did it a disservice. I was kind of calling it a bit slow for what I wanted. It's absolutely not. It was a blast. The last two days, I did a Saturday and a Sunday with this thing. I had some of the best fun I've ever had on track. So SV650, double thumbs up. Would you buy one for the track? Let me know, Outro Crew. Bye, Outro Crew. And I appreciate y'all.